Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Claire, and if you're new here, I talk all about using a planning and organization to shift your life into authentic alignment with your soul's purpose. So today I'm talking all about boundaries. Are you setting them? Do you find that you struggle to set them? Do you know you need them, but you have a hard time kind of putting them into place? So I feel like this is a huge topic. Boundaries are something that are so important, but if you're not used to setting boundaries, they can be really hard to start to implement, especially with people that you love and care about, and you're wanting to support, and you're wanting to show that you love and appreciate them. It can be really difficult to start to implement boundaries and do so in a way that doesn't make them feel like you're pulling away, that you don't care as much, and going about it in a way that you're having those conversations about you needing to look after your own goals, your own life, your own mental health. And it's not so much that you're no longer wanting to care for them, support them in that way. It's really about finding the balance and doing the inner work to determine what boundaries do you need in place to thrive? How can you balance helping others, giving that part of yourself to others that you care about? That really is maybe your way of showing that you love and support them. Maybe acts of service is your love language. And so you find yourself kind of doing more and more and taking more on your plate. And then over time, that kind of just becomes the norm and the expectation because you've done it for so long. And then you might find yourself kind of out of balance, feeling that inner turmoil because you know that what you're currently doing is not something that you can maintain long term. And how do you go about shifting back and rearranging the balance and the boundaries within that relationship so that both parties or all parties are able to thrive? So, firstly, I feel like boundaries can sometimes have a bit of a negative connotation because it's kind of like similar to putting up walls maybe around you. And that can often be how people interpret it. That you're putting up walls, you're drawing back, or just you're fully pulling out of a situation that you were previously maybe helping or part of because you've established this boundary and you're no longer going to support, you're no longer going to help at all. And really, boundaries are about determining what you're able to give and where you need to pull back on what you're giving in order to be able to maintain your own sanity, maintain your own mental health and the balance within you and your life that you need in order to be able to give and help and love others with the greatest capacity while being able to maintain that sort of maintainable level because it's not so unbalanced for you that you're finding it's too much and you're burning out and it's making you maybe close in or draw in into yourself and pull back and really trying and really getting to that point of self-preservation where you're burning out and all you can do is look after yourself. You don't want to get to that point. So if you're able to do that inner work, determine what the boundaries are that you need to have in place, have those difficult discussions, but try to do it in a loving way that you are expressing the reason behind it, the intention behind it, why it's important for you to have these boundaries in place. It is something that is important to start to implement in your life as you feel it's needed. With boundaries, though, you will find that if you're the one that is giving more, the balance between you and the others in the relationship, maybe what you're contributing currently is higher. Be prepared that you will face some resistance, some frustration from the others within that dynamic because they are then going to with you putting up the boundaries and pulling back a little bit, they will be the ones that have to give more in order to maintain the balance of what needs to be done and maintained within that relationship. And you may find that you do get some resistance, some pushback, maybe even a little bit of accusation that you don't care. And why are you doing this? Why are you pulling away? And all of that. But try to meet that with love rather than rising into the frustration and going to that level. If you can meet it with love, with patience, and really try your best to convey your point of why the boundaries are being implemented, why it's needed for you. Those that are meant to be in your life and that are willing to match your energy, match your effort, will be willing to step up in that rather than kind of turn their back, walk away. And you may find that you do lose some people that you previously thought you were close to by implementing those balance and putting in place those expectations that they rise to meet you on your same level, that they are willing to put as much effort and energy into your relationship as you are, and really kind of stepping up and so that you're on equal playing fields. And if people are not willing to do that, then they are probably not the people, right people to be in your circle, to be in your life. And I do fully acknowledge that there will be some unhealthy relationships or dynamics that are maybe less easy to implement these boundaries. For some relationships, it may be that you need to step back from it altogether. You need to go no contact because there's different elements at play. Maybe the other party is, a narcissist. Maybe they're part of a toxic work environment that you're in. Maybe it's something where you need to actually remove yourself from that situation, from that relationship and that circumstance in your life to be able to implement those boundaries for yourself and really set yourself up for success and have your self love at a level that you're willing and able to start to take those steps into implementing boundaries. I would encourage you, if it's something that's new to you, that you start small, start really little, start by saying no, maybe when you would usually say yes, even when you wanted to say no. Start to tweak small, little, minuscule things in your life. Maybe add up over time or one by one to create this massive weight on you, these feelings of obligation, these feelings maybe of resentment that are building up in you. So definitely feel free to start small and start to build up from there. Get comfortable saying no, get comfortable drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is what I'm willing to take it or leave it, and starting to really just build up those feelings of self confidence, of self worth. Know that you are equally as worthy to have boundaries in place to protect yourself, and that it doesn't mean that it's coming from a place of feeling like you are more superior to others. It doesn't need to be coming from a place that has any negative connotations other than self preservation, self protection, and self love. And if you view it through that lens, it can sometimes be a little bit easier to start to implement. And when I'm speaking personally, I do have some experience with this because boundaries are definitely something I have struggled with in my life. It's still something that I find myself overstretching my own self, that I take on too much. And it's because I'm wanting to do as much as I can do for others, improve, I guess, my worth and my love and respect. And really, it can backfire a little bit because when you're constantly overgiving and overextending yourself, that becomes what people expect of you. So rather than just expecting the norm and appreciating the extra, they start to expect the extra level. And then, in order for you to be seen as really trying, you're needing to go to a level beyond that. And that can be a little bit counterproductive to what you're trying to give when you're trying to overextend and help more than maybe you need to and go above and beyond to that next level. There is an element where it can be beneficial to start to draw back slowly because, as I mentioned before, when you're going to that next level to overextend yourself, that's not something that is maintainable over the long term. It's something that you can do in short spurts, and then you probably need to pull back a little bit and recharge your batteries to be able to continue to give at that level. And it's just not something that's typically able to be maintained long term without having detrimental effects on your own self, on your own mental health, and just your own being and your own life and your quality of life and all of that. So even if it's something that you feel naturally inclined to do in terms of overextending yourself, that you're always wanting to give and you're feeling drawn to kind of do more and be more, really have a look at where that stems from. Is it a self-worth thing where you feel like you really need to prove your worth in order to be in that circle, to be worthy of that relationship, worthy of that position? Or is it something that's coming from a different area or element within you? And I feel like understanding why you do what you do is the first step to being able to change that and change it in a healthy way that is not going to damage your relationships, that are able to be maintained where there is that mutual level of trust and respect. And I hope this is kind of giving you a little bit of food for thought in terms of boundaries do you have in place? Are there any that you have in place for yourself or that you have set that you feel like you're still not really honoring? Are there any new ones that you need to put in place? Do you feel like you don't have boundaries at all and you're starting fresh? And you feel like you're really needing to dig into that realm of your life, boundaries, figure out what would those mean to you? Are there any areas where you would benefit from having them, where you need them and you know that they're required, but you're having a hard time implementing them? What are some baby steps that you can take to get you there? And really just taking the time to tune into yourself and listen to your own needs around boundaries. I would love it if you would share in the comments what are some areas you feel like you might need to implement boundaries. Have you tried to implement boundaries and they haven't worked out? And if so, why do you think that is? Why do you think you've reverted back to loosening or diminishing those boundaries that you did try to set? What were the hurdles you faced? I'd just love to get a discussion going in the comments. And as always, I am wishing you a beautiful week ahead.